Lawson, since we last spoke a couple of weeks ago, there's been 2 or 3 big developments. Firstly, the release finally of the Public Protector's state capture report with some pretty explosive revelations.
Yes, I think last week will go down as one of those weeks in South African history where it really drew a line in the sand between where we were and where we're likely to go to. We saw last week finally the release of the Public Protector's report into state capture. It really opens up the can of worms of how the Zuma machinery has worked with state-owned enterprises.
And how it's been captured by the Gupta family and other rather devious businessmen.
Absolutely, and how, not just in terms of business capture, but how key institutions of state, the prosecuting authority, the investigative arm of the police, and others have been captured in this process to protect those that are involved in the wrongdoing.
Zuma, of course, tried to keep it under wraps. He went to court to get an interdict. He managed to persuade the Public Protector to not release it for a few days, but then he did one of his famous U-turns.
He catapulted at the end as a result of pressure, I think, and felt that by releasing that pressure, he might be able to find other ways of delaying the implementation of the report. And that's where we're at the moment.
Of course, you and others that very day in Pretoria were leading an extremely important, perhaps seminal moment in terms of the launch of the Save South Africa campaign.
Yeah, I mean, this is a broad coalition of civil society organisations representing people from business to labour to the religious sector, and a broad cross-section of civil society activists that have come together to say that it's time for Zuma to go, that it's time for South Africa to clean up its act.
And it does seem to me one of the strengths of this country is the depth of civil society, the fact that trade unions, business, civil society organisations from the faith communities, environmental NGOs can get together when it's needed, such as this.
Indeed, and they provided the platform at which 6 or 7 political parties came and spoke under the same banner, which is unprecedented in that kind of format since the 1980s in South Africa.
The other thing that happened last week, of course, in the ongoing Cold War, or lawfare, between Zuma and his own Finance Minister, Pravin Gordhan, was that the National Director of Public Prosecutions, who is a bit of a national joke now, Sean Abrahams, dropped the charges against Gordhan, causing massive trouble in the meantime, having launched the charges with such fanfare 2 weeks before.
And then having dropped those charges, then said that they're still investigating Mr. Gordhan on other charges. So it's not the end of the game for Mr. Gordhan's legal woes, and they've promised that he was likely to be charged again before Christmas.
And I understand that rightly some organisations now are going to go to court to argue that he's unfit for office, the NDPP, and that he should be removed.
I think that there's very few people in South Africa that would disagree with that, but unfortunately that the power to suspend him lies in the hands of the President.
So tomorrow, back to the President and Zuma Watch, there's another no confidence vote in Parliament. That will be tomorrow, Thursday, 10th of November.
Yeah, and this is a vote that has been called for by the main opposition party, the DA. But it seems that they have not really tactically done as well as they could. They have not consulted with other opposition parties.
Do you think they should have noted the way that the sands are shifting within the ANC and perhaps given it another couple of weeks?
I think so, because I think that things are moving within the ANC. We saw significant shifts last week. One of the biggest public sector unions now are coming out and calling on the President to resign. A number of senior ANC veteran leaders calling on the President to step down. And I think this pressure is going to build up towards the NEC meeting at the end of the month.
So the likely outcome tomorrow is that Zuma will survive to fight yet another day, and he is fighting to the bitter end. He's ruthless, he really knows a lot of things about a lot of people, and he's prepared to use that information. So the end game is not quite there yet. We should certainly wait till the NEC, National Executive Committee meeting of the ANC, 25th to 27th of November. That's going to be a key moment to see whether Zuma still has control of that NEC, which is really the only body that can decide that he should now be recalled. So Zuma continues. Thank you for again joining us for Zuma Watch number 2. If you want more information or deeper insights into what's going on in the ANC, any of those crucial pieces of litigation that we've referred to, or other related matters that affect the economy and the markets, be in touch with us, the Paternoster Group.